Good afternoon, this is Jesse from Resurva. Today I want to cover how to set up a Resurva account for a custom tailoring business. I'm going to walk you through the initial setup and then go over some of the app settings and some of our integrations as well. So thank you for joining us, and let's get into it. So first thing I've done is I've gone to resurva.com and just signed up for my 60-day trial. Once I've inputted my information, this is the first screen that you're going to see. It's the start of the setup widget. So we're based in Toronto. I've filled this in already, and I've decided to, on my schedule, my clients can book every 30 minutes. So if I open at 10 a.m., let's say, my clients can book 10, 10:30, 11, etc. And my weekly schedule is going to start on a Monday. Okay. Next up is inputting our services. So these are going to be all your bookable services. I'm going to start just by setting up my first service. So get measured and fabric choice. So this would be, I guess, the first, initial kind of interaction with the business. I'm going to make this duration 1 hour. I'm going to leave the default cost set to 0. You can put an input, or you can input a cost in there, but for this type of business, you are probably going to just be doing this as a complimentary service. So I'm going to leave that blank for now and just go ahead and save that out. And I'm just going to keep adding a couple more services. Cons. Save that out. You can always fine-tune your services after you've done the initial setup. So, if something's not quite working for you, you can always go ahead and change that up after these are saved out. I'm just doing a quick setup here. So I've set up 4 services. Let's add another one here. And just one final, garment pickup. I'm going to make this service a quick service. Okay, so I'm happy with these services. Next step is to set up your providers. In our case, the provider, there might be a different provider for each step of the tailoring process. So I'm still going to have to put in providers only because they're all going to be on the schedule. But the client-facing Resurva widget may not, you may not necessarily want to allow your customers to pick their provider, but we can get more into that. Let's set up a couple more here. Let's add one more. Okay, and you can see here that John, Andrew, Scott, and Alice are set up to offer all services. Now, if I click one of these, this is where I can assign services to particular providers. So I'm going to leave them all for now, and I can fine-tune that again at any point. So let's just keep setting up here. Schedule, this is the general operating hours for your business, and this is where you're going to assign your provider hours as well. So I'm going to be open 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. Well, maybe let's just make it Monday to Sunday. Okay, so my general hours are 10 to 6, Monday to Friday, let's say. I'm going to close a little bit early on Saturday, and then I'm going to start my day a little later on Sunday, and I'm going to close at 4. So that's how you would adjust your daily hours. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add everyone to the schedule from Monday to Friday, and then I'm going to be selective on who works on the weekend. Or maybe that's not a good approach. Maybe I will be more selective on my, let's say, Monday and Tuesday, and then have all my staff working on the weekend. You may have more of your customers coming in, on a Saturday to get fitted just based on their schedule. So I'm going to give Alice and Scott the day off on Monday, and I'm going to give Andrew and John the day off on Tuesday. Okay, that looks good. Continue on. So there you go. The setup is complete. The initial setup is complete. You'll just want to make sure that you go online here by clicking go online. Now, I'm just going to complete that later. If you want to test what your Resurva slug looks like from a customer's point of view, we recommend you, if you want to stay logged in to your admin and test at the same time as you're fine-tuning your setup, you'll need to open a private browser window, or an incognito window. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that and paste in my account here. And this is basically the setup. So you can see that we have our services and the duration of each service, and this is the calendar. Now, I think it was, I can't remember which providers we made off on Monday, but if I go to Monday here, okay, everyone's working Monday. Sorry, that was Sunday, Monday. So Scott and Alice were off the schedule on Monday, and as you can see here, they are not available to book, but John and Andrew are both working, and they are on the schedule from 10 to 5. So everything looks good there. So I'm just going to switch back to my admin here. So yeah, the general setup is complete. But if I want to manage some of my providers, if I want to go in and add some detail, I can do that here by going to Manage Providers. And I'm just going to click on this 3 dots here. This is the secondary navigation for Resurva. So anytime you see that, you can click in and it will give you another menu. I'm just going to quickly go over the settings here for the providers. You can add a bio to your provider. Just gives it a little bit of a personal touch. I have something terrible written here that I mean, this is a bad example, but just to show you what it looks like, I'm just going to save that out and just go back to my account here. Just do a new booking, refresh that. So you can see here he's not available because of the schedule, but the bio appears in the provider there. So that's what that looks like. First booking date. This would be if you wanted to make John not available for same day bookings. You would change the first booking date to 1 day. That would mean he is only available from 1 day from today's date. And same with last booking date. If John just wanted to set up like a 4-week schedule, he would set this to 4 weeks, and he would be bookable 1 day from today's current date, and then 4 weeks, from then he would be bookable. But then 4 weeks and a day he would not be bookable. I will just change that back to disabled for now. If you wanted to make John bookable by admins but not by the public, you would just check this off. That just means that he is still, he's still a provider, but he is not bookable by clients. We have a private client setting here. So if John was a really busy provider and only wanted to, take care of his current client list, he could set himself up to be a private provider and give his clients a code which they would have to input in the booking widget in order to get a booking with John. You can have a custom time length. So right now the schedule is set up every 30 minutes for a new appointment. If for whatever reason John wanted to change that to 45 minutes or an hour, he could do that here. So instead of 10, 10:30, 11, it could be 10, 11, 12, etc. Disable wait lists. We have a wait list feature, so if you are fully booked for the day, you can your customers can add themselves to your wait list and get a email notice when somebody cancels their appointment, and then they can jump on that. So you really don't lose any spots, which is a handy feature. Status. This is just a statement. If you're away or you're just not available, you can put a custom notice there. So it's a bit more personal rather than just not available, but that's the standard notice. Active. Yeah, so John is active right now. That's the default. It means he's on the schedule. He's available. Active from today's date. So he is available. If you wanted to start a new employee, let's say in 2 weeks from today, you could make John active from the 31st onwards, and he would just not be on this. He would not be bookable up until the 31st. I believe that's when we set it for. So I'm just going to make sure that that's working. So let's say the 24th, which is a week from today, John should not be available, and he is not here on the schedule. So if I went to Thursday the 1st, yeah, so John is there. So his first booking day is, or sorry, his active from date is 2 weeks from today. So that is set up like that. I'm going to get rid of that. And you could, if you have a guest coming in, let's say for a month to your business, you could, just make them available or active from, and then a month from that date. Service options are, you can add service options to your services. So if you had an extra little add-on that you wanted to add to your services, you could set that up as well. But what I wanted to show you here was the custom duration and custom cost per service per provider. So if John wanted to, right now the measurement and fabric choice service is 1 hour, and if John wanted to take a bit of extra time and make his 1 hour and 15 minutes, he could do that here. We have no cost associated with these services, but if you wanted to charge extra for that extra time, you could do that here as well. Or if you wanted to charge less, you could do that as well. If you have, an apprentice or somebody that's just getting started in the business, and you wanted to offer, a reduced rate for that person's time, then you could do that here as well. I'm just going to leave that at 1 hour, just be consistent here. So that's per service. So you could alter the duration and cost in service options. Breaks, you can set up a lunch break or whatever kind of break for your providers, and that would be every week. These breaks would apply to your schedule. So if you wanted to be consistent with your staff for breaks, you could do that here. So say at 1 to 1:30, let's just let's do that a few times here just to show you what that looks like. And as long as you start it and stop it, let's just go into there. You can create a break series, so I'll just save that out and go to my schedule to see what that looks like. So every day from 1 to 1:30, I think I just set it up 3 days, but 1 to 1:30, John is just not available to be booked. I didn't set it up on Fridays. I believe I just set it up Mondays. John's off Monday, that's why I couldn't put that break in there. So, or sorry, on Tuesdays, and Andrew as well. But yeah, the breaks are inputted there. So I'm just going to go back to the providers and go back in the subnav. Images, if you wanted to add an image for John, you could do that. I'm just going to leave that blank for now. and just okay, services. So I started with providers, but I'm just going to jump back into services. These are the just general settings for each service. You could apply a different color to your services. If you have a really busy business and you have, a pretty full schedule, it's nice to switch up your color for each service just so you can get a kind of an overview of what's on the schedule for the day just based on color. So if you're just walking by the iPad or whatever you have set up at the shop for your schedule, um, you can just differentiate your services at a glance. So that's pretty helpful. If you need to add padding before and after your service, you could do that as well. So if you need 15 minutes to clean up or whatever setup, you could do that, and that will just add 15 minutes to either end of your booking. A description here. Let's add a description. I have one copied here. I'm going to add that in. And I will save that out and go back to my widget here. So this is the description of the service. Pretty handy to have in there. Just make sure people are booking the right service that they'd like. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You can add an image to your service as well. It doesn't really apply to our business, but you could do that as well. If you wanted to, make sure that your providers are providing the correct service, you could do that here under providers. Just for example, Alice and Scott. Let's take them off, and again, save it out. Do a quick refresh here. And you can see that those two providers are not bookable under that service now. Okay. Sorry, I said Andrew and Scott and Alice. These are where you would set up your options. So if you wanted to add, a service option, let's just say like, drink of choice or something like that. It's probably not a great example, but you could add a cost to that, and your clients could accept that, like add it onto their service, or just decline it and just not choose to add it to their service. So that's our service option, and then you would set that up per provider as well. So if certain providers offer those add-ons, those options, or do not offer those options, you would go under manage providers, and you would set that up there. So your schedule, we briefly looked at this. I just added everyone to the schedule, but if you needed to change, or if you wanted to change their hours rather than having them work, open to close for each day, you could make them, give them their own schedule essentially. So say John doesn't want to come in till 11, and he has an early day Monday because he's working Saturday, Sunday, then you could set that up here just under the customization, under the pencil icon here. So I made everyone work, Saturday, Sunday, but let's be nice here and give people a day on the weekend. So yeah, that's how you set up custom times for all your providers. You can set up a new schedule in advance if you would like by just clicking create new, and then you can just do a week. So if you have, if you want to change up your schedule just for 1 week, you could do that. If you wanted to have it, effective at a certain date, you could do that as well. Yeah, it's pretty handy. So you can do that under just creating a new schedule here, create new. We have a point of sale integration with Vend POS. So what that does is when you have a new booking under Resurva, you can send that booking to Vend, and it will park your order, and then you can open that in Vend and then continue on with your sale. So if you have, if you're doing all your sales of your suits, you can do that through Vend, and it will work with Resurva. So it'll send your customer information, your service information, and it will save that information for you in Vend, and then you can carry on through Vend. Calendars, we have a calendar sync where you can sync an external calendar to Resurva, and you can push and pull data from either end. So if you have, your personal schedule synced with Resurva and you block off time in your personal schedule, it will block that. It will take away that availability in Resurva. And if you push your Resurva data to your external calendar, then when you get a new booking in Resurva, it will block off that time or it'll mark that time in your external calendar. So that's a great feature. I'm not going to go ahead and sync it, but it's a quick process to do that. Booking widget, if you would like to embed your Resurva widget into your website, you can do that quite easily here. You just need to authorize the website. So if I wanted to put this into resurva.com, let's say, I would just type in resurva.com, and it will give me an iframe code, which I can then just paste into my website page. And I can change the colors if I'd like of the widget. Now that only takes effect if you are embedding the widget. So if you're just going to resurvatailors.resurva.com, you just get the basic widget. But if you are embedding that into your website, you can go ahead and change the colors. That's a terrible example, but you can see it just changes the text, buttons, and background. So you can stay consistent with your branding on your own site if you'd like, or you can just leave it. You can just leave it standard. Notifications. So these are for emails when you get or when somebody books with you, they get a confirmation email. You can customize that if you would like. The standard email just pulls the data that from the booking and it sends it to your customer. But if you need to change anything in there, you can. Yeah, it's under Manage Notifications. What I want to show you is our custom booking fields setup, and this just means that you can add an extra field to the booking process if you need to capture any more information from your client. And I've gone ahead and I've set one up already, and it's called Special Requests. So it is active. So I'm going to show you, just make sure it's saved out here. I'm going to go and show you what that looks like as a customer. Now, I've gone ahead and logged in as a customer just to save a bit of time. But so that's the only difference here. But I'm going to go ahead and just make an appointment for, let's say, Thursday with our buddy John here at 10 a.m. This just shows me the booking details. It just confirms what I've chosen. Now here you can see the extra booking field that I created called Special Requests. If I need to let you guys know, anything I want to let you guys know, I can add it here. I'm going to leave that blank for now, but what I am going to do is continue with the booking just to show you what that looks like from the admin side. So I'm going to get an email reminder and a text reminder, and I'm going to request that booking. So that's what it looks like from a customer view. I get a confirmation here with my details, but I also get a email confirmation that gets sent straight away. And the email and text notifications go out a day before the appointment at 1 p.m. local time. So it is after 1 p.m. my time as I'm doing this video. So I will not get those notification reminders. But if I was to book for, Friday at today's Wednesday, if I book for Friday, then I would get those tomorrow at 1 p.m. my time. Anyway, so my booking is confirmed. I'm going to go back to my admin here and just show you what that looks like. So if I go back to my schedule, You can see here Thursday I have a notification that I have a new booking. I'm going to go to that day, and you can see that John has a 10 a.m. appointment with myself, Jesse, here. And if I click on this, then I get some more options here. So you're going to be spending a lot of your time on the schedule page, just reviewing your upcoming appointments. If you need to contact your customers, you can do all that from this page. So there's a bunch you can do here. I can discount the appointment if I need to. In our case, I won't be doing that. It's a consultation essentially, or it's a first step in getting a suit made, so there won't be that discount. If they no-show on me, if they don't show up for their appointment, I can mark that here. What that does is it turns your appointment red, so that's just our notification that this is a no-show. And if I go to my client list, I am the only client right now. It shows that I have no-showed here, and I can block myself from booking, or block any customer from booking if they've done that to me. Let's say more than whatever your policy is, you can block them. But you can also undo that block here. If I go back to Thursday, click on the appointment, I can undo that. So if your customer comes in 10 minutes late, you've already blocked them as a no-show, or you've already marked them as a no-show, you can just you can undo that. But let me just go back in here. So from there you can view your client, the client profile. I can edit the booking. I can create a series of bookings based on this booking. So if I wanted to, it doesn't make a lot of sense in our situation. It's going to be, the suit process will be maybe like 3 steps, but it won't be, consistent. But there is the option there, so you can rebook them. The interval is up to you, but in this case, it would just be every 7 days until next year. So that is an option, not totally applicable to tailoring, but it's there. I can also just cancel this appointment if I want. I can notify the client, like if something comes up, you need to cancel your day's bookings, you can do that. Or if you just need to cancel this, an emergency has come up for an hour, you need to cancel this appointment, I can do that. I can notify the client. I can choose not to notify the client or just not cancel it. I think that's pretty much it for here. I can also just contact my client. I can call them or email them directly from here, which is pretty handy. Or I can check them in. So if you have somebody at the front desk that's greeting people as they come in, and you want your provider, if you want John to know that they've arrived, so he can come out and greet them, or at least he knows that they've arrived for their appointment. If you have a bigger business, that's a handy feature. If you have somebody that kind of greets customers, that's a great feature. So yeah, this is the schedule. If you need to add an appointment, all you need to do is click the time slot. Your list of services will come up, and I'm going to skip that. I'm just going to add myself again because, just as an example here, 416-555. And you can just book them in straight up. So that 45-minute service has been booked with Andrew at 10 a.m. and I can do all the same stuff. I can cancel that. Doesn't really matter what I choose here, but so this is the schedule overview. This is a handy if you need to quickly tap on or off a time slot. You can do that just by clicking that, and then you can block out time. These are good for emergencies. If you just need to run out for a bit or whatever the case may be, you can use the tap on and off feature. You can edit your day based on provider. So if Andrew goes home sick, you can just turn him off. And you can also cancel any bookings that they may have for that day. Now the email will be sent for that. So I'm just going to do that as an example, and you can see that Andrew has been blocked out. What I'd like to do now is give you an overview of our analytics. There won't be a ton of information there because we only have a couple bookings, but it will give you kind of a preview of what you can expect from it. So we have some settings here, so we can go through our bookings, services, and our clients, and you can dig down a little deeper into specific time frames for those. So you can take a look at your upcoming week, last 30 days, last 90 days, and your previous year, and that goes for all the settings. So you can see, who your best clients are, which of your providers are providing the most services, which services are doing the best for you, and yeah, so that's our analytics. Another little feature is our booking search. So if you need to, obviously do a booking search, you can do that. This advanced booking search is pretty handy. You can put in a date range, and you can get a nice overview of your bookings. So I'm just going to do a quick example. So I just chose January 1st to the 31st. So we have a month where we can look at our booked appointments, canceled or no shows, or all, which I will leave on. And you can filter it by service, and you can filter it by provider as well. So I'm just going to leave that as all for everything, just to show you what that looks like. So we have, five bookings here. 2 of them are on the books right now, and then 3 have been canceled by me. But yeah, the more you use Resurva, the bigger this will be, and you can export this as a CSV so that you can open it in Excel or Numbers or whatever spreadsheet application you use, and you can manipulate the data that way. So I'm going to go through the app settings quickly. You will probably end up changing a bunch of this stuff, but just to give you a overview, your first booking date, if you wanted to, so currently any of my customers can book any available time slot with me. So, if it's, let's say it's noon and there's a 12:30 appointment today, my customers can book that. So it doesn't give me much of a notice. If I wanted to change that and I wanted to restrict people from booking, let's say an hour from today's or from the current time, I could do that. I would just set the booking date to be active, and up here I have hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, etc. So you can change that up to 8 weeks in advance. So yeah, just make sure the first booking date is active. If I change this to 1 day, then my customers could not book with me until tomorrow. So it gives me a bit of leeway there. I'm going to uncheck that, save it just to make sure that I haven't saved that. Last booking day works the exact same. So if you wanted to restrict your schedule to say 4 weeks of bookable time, I would make sure that this is checked off, and I would make sure it's a variable date and change that to 4 weeks. Why don't I go ahead and just save that out? So if I go back and refresh my customer view, so the last booking day is the 26th of February. So that's 4 weeks in advance. So I cannot book 27th or 28th just because I have set my last booking date to be 4 weeks from today's date. So that's how that works. I'm going to just go back and uncheck that, save it. Just make sure that that is working the way I want it to work. Again, quick test. And so yes, I can go into March here, and I can book anytime there. So that's the first and last booking date. Services, we have multiple service selection where you could book more than one service at a time. Now, in our case, we probably don't want that to be an option because you're doing a custom suit, and the first service would be your measurements and your consultation, and you don't want someone to book their follow-up appointment immediately. There'll be a gap between those services, so I'm going to leave this disabled. If you want to hide the duration or show the cost in the booking widget, you can do that as well. We have a group service management, which is pretty nice, which enables these customers to book more than one slot for the same service in one booking. So if you had a class, or you wanted to, if you had a class or a session where you had 12 people, you could set that up using our group service management. Again, it's not relevant to this business, but say you had a tailoring workshop for up and coming tailors, you could set that up using group service management. So you could have a class like on a Saturday afternoon, a 3-hour class, and you could book up to 50 people per class in that. These are our provider settings. Just being able to select a provider. This, if you uncheck this box, then the person, you would skip that step of choosing your provider. I'm going to leave that allowed. The splits management is if you have a business where you're sharing the revenue from your services with your service providers, you could keep track of that service split using this setting. Force clients to log in when booking. We recommend that you leave this on. It makes people create a Resurva account in order to book with you, but what that does is it gives you another level of authentication where the person has to verify their account with their email address. So they'd be signing in each time they need to make a booking with you, but this way you have a bit of peace of mind that the person is using a legit email address and they're not just, taking up your time and deciding not to show up, and there's no kind of accountability. So we recommend that you leave this checked on. Rest of the settings are pretty self-explanatory. The maximum bookings per day, we have it set to no limit, but if you just wanted to limit them to one service, or sorry, one booking per day, you can do that. Most of the other stuff, we have a waiver agreement. So if you wanted to add something into your booking process where your customer would have to, agree to your waiver before they would be allowed to request the booking, you can do that here. So why don't I just show you what that would be if you enable that, save it out, and go to my waiver. So I can add any piece of information I want in here. I could say like missed appointments are subject to a 10%, restocking fee or something along those lines. Your clients would then have to agree to those terms, and you can add it to your confirmation email just as a reminder as well. I'm going to leave that blank for now though. Okay, payments. We have a integration with Stripe to take payments for your appointments. Now in our case, we probably won't be integrating that with Resurva because you probably have a POS system already in place in your store, and it's a pretty major purchase for somebody. So this would be more for people doing smaller services or smaller valued services rather than custom tailoring. But we do have that option there. If you have a Stripe account, it's a pretty quick process to set up your payments. But I will leave that disabled for now. Private booking. This would be for people that you don't want to show your schedule to before they sign into their Resurva account. I will leave that off as well, but that is a that is a option. If you want to add notes to your client bookings, you can do that by enabling your client notes, which I have done here. Maybe I'll just show you what that means. So it is enabled. I'll just make sure it's saved out. And I will go to my schedule. Now, if somebody has a particular, if you need to make a note for your service provider about the person or the appointment, you can add that here by clicking notes. So I had a note that I previously inputted. I just, Jesse likes dark navy suits. This was added by me, the admin, yesterday at 2:35. But that just shows you where to see your notes. So if you click on the appointment, click notes, and there will be, a note, or you can add a note there. So that's how you do that. So I'll go back to my settings. Time settings, again, this is just how the booking interval on your schedule set to 30 minutes by default. I've left it like that. If you wanted to have time intervals or time increments, I should say, of 5 minutes, you could do that as well for your services. It adds a bit of complexity to your setup. So we have it set to 15 minutes, which is the default. But if you wanted to change that, you could do that here by just clicking on this setting here. So that's the general app settings. The last thing I should show you is admin accounts. Now, I have set up an admin account, another admin account for my service provider, John. And what that does is it allows John to log into Resurva using his username and password, and it will allow him to manage his schedule, and it will allow him to receive email notifications for appointments, new appointments, cancellations as well. So I'm going to just open this up and show you what that looks like. So this is his just username and his email address. This is where the email notifications get sent. So that's a crucial step to this. I haven't filled out the contact info, but you can do that as well. John would have received a email where he would have set his password. So you don't have access to that, but you can set a new password in his admin account if you wanted to. Permissions is a big one. If you wanted to limit the access that John has to, let's say, client information, you would switch this to limited access and make sure this is checked on. So what that does is it removes the name and the email or the name, email, and phone number of the client. So John would just see that he has a first fitting rather than the name of the client and the number and email. So you could also limit how much they can do with their schedule. So there's a few settings here. I'm going to leave him as all access. That means that he can log in and see everyone's schedule, and he basically has what you would have as far as access. Connected providers. This is where you set to receive email notifications. So right now I have John, the admin, is connected to John, the provider, and I have him set to receive email notifications for this provider. So if John wanted to receive emails for Andrew, Scott, and Alice as well, I would click these on. Anytime any of these people get a booking, a cancellation, I should say, John will be notified. I'm going to leave that off because that's not necessary for John to get emailed about other people's appointments. But if I go into my own account as the business owner, I want to know what's going on with all my providers, so I have this checked on for all of my providers. So this may be a bit overwhelming as far as notifications, and you can tailor that to, if you're getting, bombarded by emails. If you have a very busy business, you might be getting just too many emails related to bookings. So you might just want to turn this off and have, Resurva set up on an iPad in the shop where you can just walk by anytime you want and, take a look at it, or just have it pulled up on your screen, on your computer in your office. So those are the admin accounts. I think we've covered pretty much all the settings in Resurva. You're going to be spending a lot of your time on the schedule just reviewing your upcoming appointments and making notes maybe, or seeing what your providers are up to for the day or for the week. I don't know if we covered this, but if I wanted to see John's week, I would change this to providers, and I can see his upcoming week. This doesn't really reflect how a real schedule looks. There's no appointments and very little availability, but as you get busy, you will see most of these filled in with appointments. So yeah, I guess that covers it. We are always available to help you with your setup, or if you have any questions about really anything to do with Resurva, we're more than happy to help you. You can email support@resurva.com. You can give us a call, or you can open up a chat on our website. If you go to resurva.com, we have a little chat icon, and yeah, we're more than happy to help you. Just even if you just want advice on best setup situation, we're always available. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.